Hello and welcome to another episode of Double Barrel Gaming. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and on today's episode, I'm going to be doing a Community Spotlight Special Edition. I will be highlighting G-4-G Media and its two co-founders, Moxie and Avers. The reason for this special edition of the Community Spotlight is because G-4-G Media finds itself at the mercy of YouTube's new guidelines going into effect February 20th, 2018. The new rules being enforced dictates all new YouTube channels need 1,000 subs and over 4,000 hours of viewing time in a 12-month period in order to be considered for monetization. Why this is a pressing matter is because G-4-G Media started in February of 2017 and is closing in on the 12-month time frame that YouTube is implementing. Like many current YouTubers, they put in tons of hours of preparation and fact-checking to put out interesting and professional content on a weekly basis. People who love the video game business like Avers and Moxie didn't start a YouTube channel to strike it rich. They did it because they're fans and love talking about gaming. With that said, though, it certainly would be very nice for them to be able to expand the channel with a bigger budget and possibly offer giveaways in the future. This is where being able to monetize the channel comes into play. So today, we're going to open the doors to G-4-G Media and its two co-founders so the community could get to know them a little bit better, and I truly hope you consider subscribing to their channel. G-4-G Media was created in February of 2017 with a simple idea: do a show that not only explained what was on the surface of the video game world, but to look at it from a corporate point of view. Their mission statement was of pure thought: provide honest, intuitive content with the facts to back them up, to give the fans of the channel real up-to-date numbers that were checked not once, not twice, but 10 times over to make sure the information they were giving was accurate. Every video that is produced by Avers and Moxie is meticulously looked over. They both make sure that it's of the finest quality, something that has been lost in the YouTube scene for many years now. They work with a sense of pride and commitment that has been traded by many YouTubers for the click count. This is what sets their content apart from many others. If you've already watched any of their content, you will immediately notice the incredible set design. When interviewing Moxie and Avers, their gaming-inspired set was one of my first questions. Avers simply responded. He told me that though they enjoy making their own content, they have always been fans of what GameSpot and IGN have done and look to create something fun and interesting for the people watching the video. Everything you see is actual pieces from their own private collections. During my interview with Moxie and Avers, I asked them a bunch of really interesting gaming questions. This is what they had to say. Being a gentleman, I started out with Moxie, and the first question I asked her was, what was her first gaming console she ever owned? She immediately responded, the Super Nintendo. She was a huge fan of every Mario game and can recall playing for hours at a time. You know, it's pretty incredible how many gamers have their first gaming experience with a Nintendo console. When asked how long she's been gaming, Moxie told me that in a technical sense, she's been gaming since she was a kid, but didn't hit the hardcore status until 2013. Her ultimate favorite game of all time is Dragon Age Inquisition, and according to Moxie, it stands as that one game that hooked her and never let go. She has put tons of hours into Dragon Age, and what sets it apart from others was the story, the incredible characters, and the world that had her coming back for more. BioWare crafted an incredible experience from start to finish, and she has high hopes that they are in the process of making the next in the series. Moxie's other favorite franchise is without a doubt the Gears of War series, though Gears 3 and 4 are her personal standouts. She put over 700 hours into Gears of War 4 in 2017 alone and would have been her Game of the Year 2 years running, but obviously she couldn't pick it twice. Speaking of Game of the Year honors for 2017, when asked what had her glued to her 4K TV, she explained that Shadow of War was that title. Moxie hasn't beaten it yet, but is taking her time exploring every nook and cranny of the Lord of the Rings inspired world. Next, I asked Moxie what had her interest piqued for 2018 and beyond, and she responded with, in general, she's excited to see the industry grow and change for the better, fixing what didn't work and expanding on what did for many of the big gaming companies. When asked what games had her hyped for 2018, she replied with Rare's Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, and Quantum Dreams Detroit Become Human on the PlayStation 4. When she's not working 60-plus hour weeks and trying to put out high-quality content for G-4-G Media, she enjoys watching other YouTube content from Azarel7700, Worrywart, and K-Mega. She's a fan of Tim Dog and wishes he would do a little bit more podcasting. That's going to do it for my interview with Moxie. Please consider following her on Twitter at Moxie_G4G Media. Next up was Avers, the second part of this dynamic duo. When asked what his first gaming experience was, he told me it was a Super Mario Bros. Arcade machine that was put into his local grocery store several years after it launched on the original NES. He recalls it being a chilly fall evening shopping with his parents at that grocery store and only being 5 years old at the time. The game stimulated his mind in a way that had him hooked from that moment on. He equates this to how Neo sees the Matrix, almost like a spiritual experience. Avers has been gaming since the 80s, and his first home console was the Nintendo NES. This, of course, was not surprising at all. He told me that having the console in the house was like experiencing that arcade machine in front of that grocery store all over again. Trying to make it to that flagpole was a driving force for him. Happy times he will always cherish. When asked what his favorite gaming franchise and character of all time was, his response made me sit back in my chair and pause for a minute. It's not what I was expecting, but he explained why with a detailed answer. He confidently told me the Blood Rain franchise. Avers said that if he had $1 billion, he would hire Tomonobu Itagaki as the game director for its reboot. The new Blood Rain would be an adult, story-driven, ultra-violent, and gritty title. He would make sure to have Laura Bailey back doing the character's original voice. Avers was also a fan of a very underrated Capcom title, PN03, and really enjoyed the work from another great female voice actress, Vanessa Z. Schneider. I asked him what his favorite game of all time was, and like many people, he couldn't narrow it down to one and politely gave me 3, in no particular order. And they are Zelda Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, and Dragon Age Inquisition. Avers' Game of the Year for 2017 was easily Shadow of War. It's definitely the game that he put the most hours into, and one he looked forward to playing whenever he had a spare minute. I then asked Avers what had him excited for 2018 and beyond, and he told me he's really looking forward to E3 2018 because he's going for the first time in his life, something that I know he'll never forget. Like Moxie, Avers puts in long work weeks of 60-plus hours, but still finds the time to listen to many of YouTube's biggest and brightest. And here are 2 of them. Make a Path Presents and Trev's Chan 2. He says both of these guys have incredible analysis skills and get it right 99.9% of the time. He highly recommends that people check them out. Please consider following Avers on YouTube at Avers_G4G Media. When I created the Community Spotlight, these types of situations are exactly what I had in mind. Seeing a small indie YouTube channel like G4G Media thrive against all of the red tape that has been put up there is why I decided to take a stand and help them. I'm looking to the great and wonderful people of this community to make sure that they do in fact hit their 1,000 subs before February 20th. Please retweet this video, tell your friends, and ask them to tell their friends to support G4G Media in the fight to 1,000. They will hit that milestone, but not without the community's help. All of G4G Media's links will be in the show notes below. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Double Barrel Gaming. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Have an awesome day.